A high-quality airline, but we don't have the quantity of money required. What cost-saving measures could we take?
How much are trains?
Say you still wanted to go in the airline business.
How much would it cost to put wings on a train?
There are driverless trains, perhaps don't have pilots or stewards.
Gliders.
Right, why?
No fuel costs.
Well, it is fuel that we want to save. We want to help the environment, you want to save money and so on. So here's an extraordinary thing.
No passengers.
Well, you want the passengers...
Or luggage.
You want the passengers to be as light as possible.
Skinny people with no bags. Are you allowed to advertise that?
Yes. In 2013, Samoa Air were the very first airline to charge passengers according to their own weight.
Yeah, they did it.
Yeah, they had to pay one Samoan tala, so it's roughly sort of 30p for every kilo that they and their luggage weighed.
Wow.
But the actual plane, you can save money on the actual plane. I know it sounds very strange, but white planes are more efficient than dark planes.
What?
Lighter paint is literally lighter. Dark paint on an aeroplane can add the equivalent weight of 8 passengers. You look, James, as though you don't believe me.
Well, it does sound like a lie.
Why might dark paint be heavier, do you think?
Because it's evil.
Dark paint is heavier because it has more pigments.
More pigments. More pigments.
Yeah.
I was going to say pigment.
I was going to say pigment.
I was going to say... allowing
All right,
you...
children, all right. So, if you look at a plane, you'll see most of them are of a lighter colour.
Why paint it at all?
So that is the other option, is that you could polish it. However, you do need to wash it more often to offset corrosion, if you've just polished it. And white paint would be cheaper, because actually the money you'd save on fuel, you'd spend on washing. So those are your
It sounds like
choices.
a headache, really. I'm not going to open a air flight business.
Are you not?
Yeah.
But it's amazing where you can save money. So in 2018, United Airlines switched to lighter paper for the in-flight magazine, all right? They saved 1 ounce per copy. Doesn't seem like very much at all. But it's £11 saved for a full flight. You multiply that by the whole fleet over a single year, you have saved 170,000 gallons of fuel worth $290,000. Just a single ounce of paper on each individual in-flight magazine. The airline's beverage cart, it now weighs half what the old ones used to weigh. They've stopped duty-free sales in many instances.
Well, I've picked a few already you can get rid of. That little tiny tray that the other trays are in,
yes.
Why does that exist? I mean, all of the food can go because it looks shit.
I noticed on a flight I was on recently that they weren't showing Ocean's 11, but they were showing Ocean's 8, so that's 3 people.
That's 3 straight away. In the 1980s, there was a man called Robert Crandall. He was then head of American Airlines, and he removed just 1 olive from every single salad served to their customers. Nobody noticed, and they saved $40,000 a year.
Yeah, but I bet he was fatter at the end of it. If he's popping an olive from everyone's plate in every plane, that's having some effect. I'm no scientist.
No, clearly.
You could say no hats. No one could really get annoyed if you said no hats.
There's a lot of screws in a plane as well. I reckon a couple of those...
The Japanese airline, called All Nippon Airways, in 2009, they asked passengers to visit the loo before boarding. They calculated that a full 767 could hold 240 pounds of urine inside its passengers, and if everybody boarded with an empty bladder, they calculated they could reduce carbon emissions by 5 tonnes over the course of a month.
Is that man doing a selfie while he's there?
What is the biggest thing you could buy with £1?
Is it a whale? Pound sterling?
Yes.
Visualise the shelves in Poundland. Don't remember any whales there.
You can get an ironing board. Something like that.
Think about football.
A football club?
Oh.
Not Aston Villa or someone like that.
Chelsea Football Club, Ken Bates bought it for £1 in 1982. Bates sold the club to Roman Abramovich in 2003 for £140 million. Today it's estimated to be worth £1.5 billion. Other companies that have been bought for £1, British Home Stores, Barings Bank, Reader's Digest, Homebase. It doesn't have to be £1. When Rover was sold to BMW, it was £10. But you have to have something. It's a legal necessity in a contract. It's called a consideration. Something has to be paid. It used to be known as the peppercorn, like peppercorn rent. Bath University still pays an actual peppercorn to the city as ground rent.
What?
Yeah, it's... What?
How does that
Have you
work?
woken up? What's happened? When you have a legal contract, if I'm going to sell you this card, you must give me something for it.
A pen.
All right, there you are. That's and I'll have the pen. Actually, it's quite nice. Thank you.
No, they're the old answers. Are they physically doing it still? Are the university actually going to
the city and
giving them a peppercorn?
It's become a sort of ritual.
Do you think the peppercorns get used?
I like that the city might be building up to a whole mill.
Yeah.
The new 12-sided pound coin, it's got a number of features that make it more difficult to counterfeit. Anybody know what they might be?
Is it a weight thing?
No, it's a kind of hologram. So if you look, this is just below the Queen's head, and if, depending on the light, it either says 1 or a pound symbol. If you can you see, just if you flip the coin, ooh, it's a good noise from everybody.
Noise.
Ooh,
That's all the forgers. Coachload of forgers in. Oh.
So, what about James's choice?
The shot put.
I realise now I actually misread your choice. You can't not like the shot put, can you?
Oh, I can. Who here is a fan of the shot put? One guy. And he's a liar. Right, here's the problem. At the Olympics, everyone does their stuff and it's amazing, and you're seeing people doing things, you go, I couldn't do that, it looks incredible. The shot put, it just looks rubbish. They throw it, and literally he's here, and he throws it, and it lands there. And I know it's heavy, but I've never held a shot put, so I don't know how heavy it actually is. So I don't know context for it. So all I'm doing on TV is watching someone throw a ball a little way. That is it.
There's a certain method, though. You have to hold it tight to your chin and straighten the arm.
Yeah, you got to do that.
Yeah.
How's that fun?
The Berlin 1938 Olympics got a big cheer every time.
Why might it be a bad idea to remove all the dead wood from the Houses of Parliament? So many answers, so little time.
Is it something to do with the gunpowder plot?
Yes, I think
or
the gunpowder plot. I'm with Bridget.
No.
No, it's nothing to do with that.
It's later than the gunpowder plot.
Later.
Well, we are talking about 1834. Up until 1826, the Palace of Westminster kept all its financial records on something called tally sticks. So you had a stick and you split it in two when you issued a debt, and when the payment was made, the two sticks were tied back together again. Wow. But eventually, of course, paper records superseded the need for these, and now they'd got a lot of old wood, so they decided to get rid of it. The obvious idea was to burn it. So on the 16th of October, 1834, the clerk of the works, who's in various records called Mr. Wibbly or Mr. Woobly, he ordered 2 cartloads of these tally sticks to be
Mr.
burnt.
Wibbly Wobbly?
Mr. Wobbly Wobbly, yes.
Mr. Wibbly Wobbly, get rid of the sticks. Mr. Wibbly Wobbly. Rid of the sticks, you want?
It was just like that.
Like Christopher Butterslip.
Yes. I've got a character act called Christopher Butterslip.
He drops everything, doesn't he, Christopher Butterslip?
Yes, he's got very slippery fingers, and his his catchphrase is "Whoopsie plops."
What's his job, Christopher Butterslip?
Oh, he's an auctioneer.
That's fantastic. This Ming vase. Yeah. So Mr. Wibbly Wobbly decided to burn 2 cartloads of these tally sticks in the basement staves at the Palace of Westminster, and the resulting fire burnt down both the House of Lords and the House of Commons.
What an idiot, Mr. Wibbly Wobbly.
Didn't feel good about it.
He should have known.
Yeah.
What have I done?
Who did you entrust this job to? Now, don't get angry. It better not have been Mr. Wibbly Wobbly.
So the chimneys had not been properly maintained. In those days, we're still talking about children going up chimneys, and they had cut footholds into them. There was a lot of residue, and the copper linings of the chimneys actually caught fire, and it spread eventually to the entire wooden interior of Parliament, and there was no fire brigade at the time. So everything was run by the insurance company. It took 5 hours for the fire boat to get to the House of Parliament because the tide was wrong. It was the largest fire since 1666. Turner painted several canvases of the disaster, and Constable, too, sketched it sitting in a handsome cab on Westminster Bridge.
They have to rebuild the whole shebang.
Yes, that's when we get the designs that we have today with Charles Barry and Pugin.
Big Ben and everything.
Big Ben and everything, yeah. So
Wow.
well, apart from Westminster Hall was saved, so parts of it are 1,000 years old or more, and it only was saved because the wind changed.
What's this man doing with his other hand?
Oh, Lord.
It's M. It
Begins with M.
It begins with M.
It could be doing anything, Stephen.
Is it something beginning with
If it was
M?
me, it'd be me trying to work out how the
Scratching?
bloody thing works with
Well, it does begin with M. If I tell you that he's
something.
he's a professor.
He's got a massive mouse on his leg.
Mousing.
Massive mouse. Right to think of an animal because he's a scientist, a professor at the University of Kentucky.
So he got his finger stuck in a moose.
He's a Mexican. He's a Mexican man, and he's pressing a child against a cactus under the fence. He's a cruel man.
He's Professor Grayson Brown, and he's an entomologist of a particular kind. A collucidologist, if that makes any sense to you.
Mollusks.
Not mollusks.
Oh,
Mosquitoes.
An entomologist.
An entomologist.
Mosquitoes is the right answer. Brilliant. He's very serious in his study of mosquitoes, and he was allowing 1,000 mosquitoes, as he does every morning. Well, he carries on doing his emails to feast on his arm. His body says they no longer leave a mark, apparently. It's most bizarre. Asian mosquitoes are very picky. They only feast on humans. They won't eat the blood of any other animal. And in order to keep them happy, obviously, they need a big supply of blood. So he and his fellow workers, and some animals, it has to be said, in his lab, also supply the blood for other breeds of mosquito. But for the Asian ones, it's just humans. And, of course, they have to keep them breeding. Now, they're odd, these Asian mosquitoes, because they're really a bit lazy. I
What's
suppose
he
they
trying
produce
to
so
find
many
out?
thousands.
I mean, what is there left to know about these creatures?
Well, given how many millions of people they kill every year, it's kind of, you can't know enough, because they kill more, as you know, than wars. But in order to get them to mate, to force mate them...
Play some Barry White, give him some wine.
Well, that's what I thought, but in this case, they decapitate the male.
Oh, that's different. No, that
Good
wouldn't...
They anaesthetise the female. They then insert male's genitals into his unconscious partner. Despite the lack of the male's head and the lack of the female's consciousness, the insects lock together, sperm is transferred, and the female becomes pregnant. Skilled entomologists can do this without a microscope.
That's nothing to brag about, though, is it?
No, probably isn't.
No, I can make mosquitoes bang without a microscope.
We had a pair of praying mantis once in the kitchen, in a tank, obviously. And I came home one night, and the male praying mantis was on the kitchen floor, walking across, like, towards the door. I went, oh, no, he's got out of the tank. Oh, what a shame. And I carefully scooped him up, and I placed him back in the tank very gently. And the female pounced and bit his head off. And he was clearly making a break for it. And the whole time, no, don't put me back.
Yeah.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, when it's an adult. Hello, my name is Royal Baby.
Nobody's got any idea. He was born on St George's Day, but there's already a George. Yeah. It's William Shakespeare's birthday. She's married to William. What are they going to do?
Kanye?
Yes, now you're talking.
Kanye Cambridge.
Yeah.
Next stop. Next stop, Cambridge.
There's been some late-night press speculation about a possible name for the royal baby. What do you think it is?
It's Arthur. Prince Arthur, yeah, Prince Arthur. We'll go...
Albert.
Nearly. Yes.
It's Albert.
It's Albert, OK.
Yeah.
Yes.
After the square.
But didn't Queen... He's not your baby, he's mine.
Leave it out.
You might have a crown on your head, but that don't make you not a slag, does it?
How many paintings did Vincent van Gogh, or Gogh, or Gough, or Gogh, how many did he sell while he was alive?
Don't say none. Right.
None. I'm going to say none.
Don't! Really, I'm afraid...
One.
A few, maybe? A few. It was lots. He sold hundreds of paintings.
Hundreds?
Oh. Yeah, when he was 15, he used to work in an art gallery.
Oh, shut up.
It's true. I just asked you how many paintings.
This is the closest I come to walking out of this show. I'd like a recount on those two.
It was a horribly mean question, but the fact is, he did sell hundreds. They just weren't his own. He was very good at selling them, too. He did extremely well, and it was a big French company, and his brother Theo ran the Montmartre branch, and Vincent relocated after a while to the London branch. He spent 2 years in London, living in Brixton, and he called it the happiest time of his life. Yeah, he did really well, and he loved it.
Good fun in Brixton.
It was good fun. It's a good place.
Brixton Village.
Brixton Village.
He would have gone and got some chicken from Chicken Liquor. That's real nice.
Yeah. Is that your manor?
I used to live in Brixton, and do you know what I nearly did then? I nearly called you man, and then I stopped myself. I just want you to appreciate that.
I really do. Thank you. Anyway, perhaps the most surprising thing we'll all learn today is that after Brixton, he came back to the UK in 1876, and Vincent van Gogh worked as a supply teacher in Ramsgate. Oh, isn't that wonderful?
Wow.
That's a big surprise, isn't it?
It
I
is.
wonder if the children remembered him for years afterwards.
Mr. Van Gogh.
Flame-haired
Moody
figure.
sod.
Yeah. Then he became a painter, supported financially and indeed emotionally by his brother Theo. He suffered from tinnitus, vertigo, and of course depression. He killed himself aged 37. And only one of his 900 paintings was sold in his lifetime. Sold to a remarkable woman called Anna Boch, who was herself a painter.
One, you said one.
I said one.
I asked how many paintings, not how many of his own paintings.
No.
I know, I'm sorry, but look, I did say...
Chairman of the Pedantic Association. It's actually the Society of Pedantics.
Yes, exactly. In fact, Anna Boch paid 400 francs for a painting of his called The Red Vineyard, which is rather beautiful.
What is the heaviest reading material in the universe?
Oh, something by Dan Brown.
Is it slate?
Is it slate?
Yeah, because people used to write on slate, didn't they, in school, and slate's very heavy.
Yeah. But this is an actual book. It's a book available online.
Oh.
It is called Googleplex Written Out. It is exactly as it sounds. It is one of the largest numbers ever named, and it is available in print. Well, it is theoretically available in print. So let's just go through what the numbers are. So a Google is 1 followed by 100 zeros, and it looks like this, OK? A Googleplex is 1 followed by a Google of zeros, and it is impossible to write down a Googleplex because there are fewer particles in the universe than actually there are zeros in a Googleplex. However, somebody wanted to write out Googleplex, a man called Wolfgang Nietzsche, and this is just 1 volume that is available to you. It has an ISBN, you know, proper international standard book number, but obviously no ISBN has been assigned to the individual volumes since the total number of volumes would exceed the number of available ISBNs. It is literally just zeros. It is just...
Sandy?
Yes?
I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
But the last time I was on this show...
Yes.
Do you remember that I said I had something called trypophobia, where...
Oh.
I can't look at...
I can't look at holes, can you?
Can't look at holes.
And
Oh, this is a disaster for you.
Oh.
It's fucking
I feel
twice.
really...
I've got this condition, right, and it makes me feel like fainting and getting sick and gives me a headache.
Yeah.
You can't look at lots of circles that are close together.
OK, so I feel really bad. The person who named it was a man called Edward Kasner. Perhaps we have a picture of him. There he is. There's hardly any zeros.
Oh, it's horrible. Yeah.
Yeah, it's OK. Here's the thing. If you were to start to count to a Googleplex at 2 digits per second, the universe would end before you could finish. That's
The EastEnders would carry on.
EastEnders would carry on. Yeah. If you wanted to count to 1 billion, it would take you 15 years, 308 days, 9 hours, 41 minutes and 50 seconds. Isn't that fantastic?
In the world of authors...
Yes.
How do you think that guy's regarded?
Do you want to see it, darling?
When they're all getting together and all the authors are meeting up...
Yeah.
Some of them are discussing their new ideas, and he comes along and tries to talk to them as an equal. I'm working on a new book as well. Yeah, I bet you are.
Yeah. So that's the heaviest reading material in the world. According to the Guinness Book of Records, the smallest book in the world is called Teeny Ted from Turnip Town. It is by two brothers, Malcolm Douglas Chaplin and his brother Robert Chaplin, and it is a 30-page book carved on a pure crystalline silicon page. It measures just 70 micrometres by 100 micrometres, as it was etched using an ion beam at a university in Canada. So basically it fits on the width of a single human hair. I know. Isn't that... And what it says on there, if you read it, it says, Teeny Ted from Turnip Town, a success story by Malcolm Douglas Chaplin, B.A.
That's how you make all the magazines weigh less.
Yes. Anyway, you need a scanning electron microscope in order to be able to read this. There is a large print copy, but if you wanted a small one, it cost you about £10,000. But I expect you could keep that if you're really keen.
Yes, please.
Nighttime reading.
Oh, can I have it?
Colour in all the zeros.
Yeah. You can
I'd love to do that.
read it while eating a bowl of Cheerios, Bridget.
How can you make money from fresh air?
Catch it in the net.
Separate it into its component parts and then sell those.
You don't need to. You can just sell fresh air. So, in 2015, there was a man called Moses Lamb. He lived in Edmonton, Canada, and as a joke, he sold a bag, there he is, a bag of fresh Canadian air on eBay for 99 cents. It went, and when the bids for the second bag got to 168 Canadian dollars, he thought, might be onto something here. He gave up his job as a mortgage broker, and now he sells Canadian Rockies air. That is what he does for a living.
In jars?
Yeah, a single 8-litre bottle costs $24. His company, Vitality, has sold over 200,000 units, often to countries with very low air quality, so he sells them to China and India and South Korea and so on. And if Canadian air sounds pricey, you could have Swiss mountain air. That's only £17, roughly, a can.
How can you prove that it's from there?
Well, you just have to believe, Bridget. You can buy some good old British air if you prefer. You don't want to buy air from abroad. You can buy air from Yorkshire, from Wiltshire, from Wales. There's a company called Ether. The company's founder, Leo de Watts, he has coined the term air farming. There he is.
He looks exactly like I thought he would.
It's completely pure air. It is actually collected in Somerset or wherever he happens to be. It's just scooped up and sealed.
It's just a lot of money for a jar, isn't it, really?
Yeah. Now, because we like to really go the full extra mile for you, all our elves have been all over the world collecting for you special fresh air. They haven't been opened. So, Jo, would you want to open yours, darling, and see where you think that comes from?
Wigan.
Our elf James on the right there, collecting from Slovenia. James? What are you getting? Notes
A jar.
It's just jar.
Heavy notes of jar.
It's come the furthest, actually, though.
Really? Brazil.
It's come from Tasmania. That is Anna leaping there to collect air from Tasmania.
Smells less fresh than the studio does.
Is it?
I'm actually going to capture some studio air, and this will be available on eBay when the show goes out. QI Air.
Mine is unmistakably Scottish Highlands. What have you got, Bridget?
Sorry, we're seriously... I'm very good at smells.
OK.
When I was pregnant, my husband was out, and when he came back in, I said, have you been eating nice and spicy flavoured knickknacks. And he said, no, but there was a bag in the room that I was in.
Oh, what?
That doesn't smell good. That smells very greasy to me.
OK, yours comes from the Canary Islands. That's Mike collecting it in. These are genuine pictures. Right, Alan, yours.
Ooh.
What?
Someone pumped in there.
Yours comes from Hudson Bay, but we didn't have the money to go all the way to Hudson Bay, so it's a pub in West Ham. There it is, the Hudson
Bay. May, who's gone from being the Iron Lady to sort of flatter version, like the Ironed Lady, instead.
So nothing is happening. There was a big coup. We thought we were going to get, you know, a new Prime Minister, but no.
It's a bit like a very dull, slow Attenborough, isn't it? Where the same wounded wildebeest just keeps limping across the plain, and the hyenas can't quite get organised enough to kill her off. Basically what it is now.
Yes, it's about the week of plotting and infighting in the Tory party. There was speculation this week that Theresa might demote Boris Johnson in a reshuffle. Why might that not work?
He said he won't be demoted.
That's absolutely right. According to the Telegraph, allies of Boris warned that if May tried to demote him, he would just say no. We learnt more about the principal stance Boris Johnson took when he decided to back Brexit last year. What was that?
Well, he confessed to someone that he changed his mind and became a leaver just to annoy Cameron.
Yeah.
Sorry. He confessed it in an interview.
Yes, well, according to the Mail, so... Do you call that an interview?
Can we edit that bit out so people believe it?
Yeah. Well, according to a reputable paper...
Can we edit that bit out as well? It was to Lord Adonis.
Lord Adonis.
Can you imagine being called Lord Adonis?
Hey.
It's quite a lot to live up to in the morning.
Lord Adonis. That's my safe word. I'm only joking. You're never safe with me. Philly and Hollaby had gone through the...
Philly and Hollaby?
That's how they're calling themselves now. If they'd gone through the proper queue, it might have upped the numbers a bit, but they weren't actually record figures of attendance, were they?
No, apparently they were slightly down.
Why do you think there were fewer people for this?
The internet. People have other things now. And the telly. You can watch it on the telly.
Live feed, ironically.
Well, the other reason is that on previous occasions, people have travelled to London from all parts of the country, but it's much harder to travel these days, isn't it?
So, what's upsetting Richard?
Audiences cheering. I mean, that could be enough. But audiences cheering at the name of the town in which they reside. I just don't see why you need to emit that sound. I mean, I'm from Ipswich, so obviously I can't emit joy. So it seems very strange to me. I've never understood it. You say Hull. It seems odd. I don't know what I'm meant to do with that information. Are you happy about Hull? You're happy. OK.
I think it's a form of missionary work, isn't it?
OK.
It's that man saying, you probably think it's terrible coming from Hull,
no,
but in fact it's...
Right.
Hey!
OK.
I think that's he's selling Hull as a concept.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a long pitch for Hull. It makes me feel like everyone's been hypnotized. And someone said, when your town's name is mentioned, obviously you'll have to go, hey! And someone's gone, and they've never been snapped back out of it.
Boris was it? I mean, Prince Charles, he's a great champion of sustainability, and he went to COP26, which coincidentally is the number of palaces that the royal family had. And many of them are not used for much of the year, except as safe houses for Prince Andrew. And he also flew down to London on a private flight. He could at least have catched a lift in Boris's private flight, couldn't he? I mean, who does the PR for these people? O.J. Simpson or something?
And Leonardo DiCaprio was there, and he made a big thing about flying commercial.
Yes.
But you're like, he can't write any legislation. Like, what? He could just zoom in. He doesn't need to be there at all.
Yes. He's very interested in protecting the children of the future and girlfriends of the future. Many of whom have yet to be conceived. What else does Suella Braverman want to ban?
Homeless people? Tents. People using tents.
That's right. I mean, if she was just trying to ban camping, I'd be behind her.
But then you'd have to word that bill very carefully.
You would. You would.
There'd be a lot of pantomime to be out of business.
That's right.
I'm on in Richmond this year, by the way.
Yes, she is trying to ban tents. She said sleeping on the streets is a lifestyle choice. Nobody in Britain should be living in a tent. It's a surprise that more people don't choose to live in opulence.
Homelessness is a lifestyle choice. It's the last time I buy a big issue. If it can help the homeless, I help you live your dream more, like bugger off. Loving it.
It was not his finest hour. Anyway, he didn't invent that bus pass. That wasn't true either. She would have been entitled to go on the bus all day and keep warm anyway.
Lucky Elsie.
Yes. We do spoil them. Yes.
There was another very, very good moment. Susanna Reid said to him, "What are you doing?" And he said, "We're doing everything we can." And she said, "But could you do more?" And he said, "Yes."
Boris Johnson, of course, got into some trouble during the course of an interview before the election for saying he didn't know who Lorraine was.
Did you see the way Ian's eyes glazed over there?
I know who she is. She invented a quiche.
Exactly.
This is the exciting news that everything is open except it isn't.
Yes. This is the now familiar confusion surrounding the government's COVID advice on travel. What is the government's position on foreign travel?
It's a traffic light, and it's a new system from the government, and there's red, white and blue. And anybody who disagrees with it should probably be shot.
Yes. Very good. Yes.
Red don't go, amber don't go unless it's an absolute family emergency, and green you can go. And I think there's only, is it Portugal and the Falkland Islands or something on
That's
green?
exactly right. Amber also, if you're an Instagram influencer, you're allowed to go.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, it is.
Was that one of the exceptions?
Yes, because that's a central business.
Oh, is that?
Yes, it is.
Oh, my God, so we all need to sign up to being Instagram influencers and then we can go on holiday?
Like you're not an Instagram influencer. You are.
Okay, is this when I can put my Instagram account out and ask everybody to follow me?
I mean, listen, very best of luck. Go on.
Now, one reason fake news has taken hold is because the truth is often stranger than fiction. I've been wading in the mainstream of media to dig out some of the weirdest true stories, and I've been having a go at making up some of my own. And I want you to buzz in and say whether these are real headlines or ones I've made up. Here we go. Otters the size of wolves once roamed the planet. Yes.
True. I like to think it's true because otters are quite cute. If you made them bigger, they'd be even cuter, I think.
It's true, correct.
That's nice.
Royal family fined for not hitting diversity targets.
I think it's false, but it's rather
false.
lovely.
Study about butter funded by Butter Industry finds that butter is bad for you.
True.
It's true, correct.
I can't believe it's not butter. That's where all fake news started.
Yeah.
Putin was behind that.
Moth with blonde hair and small genitalia named after Trump.
I saw that story this week.
It's true, yes. No respect, Jeremy Corbyn signs official documents in jam.
True.
No! He wouldn't sign documents in jam.
He was in a traffic jam.
Oh.
They don't give him documents to sign.
David Cameron says he names birds after Boris Johnson before shooting them.
False.
It's not, he does.
I love your outrage when we get it wrong. How on earth would we know?
Man caught trying to sell his infant son for £9,000 so he could buy his wife a car.
That was me.
Well, it might well have been, because it's true. That's
Yeah.
a true story. Yes, a man really was caught trying to sell his son for £9,000 so he could buy his wife a car.
No.
The baby was 5 months old.
My baby is officially 5 months old this week. Could you tell me, did he get... I don't know, did he get the £9,000?
I'll offer you 8 for yours. With that?
Oh, interesting. I need to look on Auto Trader to see what I could get.
So, let's take a look at the final scores. Richard and Alt-Rich are last with 1,200,000 clicks, but Catherine and John are the winners with 1,750,000 clicks. So, it's bad luck to our losers. We are now going to be releasing some compromat material on both of you. Richard, I'm afraid we've got some devastating images of you and some Russian girls in a hotel room having a great time with the pointless board game. Alt-Rich, I'm afraid now the whole world will know that you are into water sports. So it's thanks to our brilliant panellists, Catherine Ryan, John Richardson, Richard Osman and Richard Ayoade. Yes, Trump, King Salman and the Egyptian president holding a glowing globe at the opening of a new centre for combating extremist ideology. But many people saw a more sinister side to the image, thinking it was a satanic ritual. The official Church of Satan was quick to dispute this. For clarification, this is not a satanic ritual. Leading to this headline, Church of Satan distances itself from Donald Trump's evil.
I wonder who runs their Twitter feed, the Church of Satan.
I think it's Satan. I think if it has an S on the end, it's Satan himself.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's staff members.
I had a look at their website this afternoon.
Of course you did.
A lot of it makes a lot of sense.
Go on.
Well, it just talks about... I know, I'm not going to start defending the Church of Satan. Trump continued with a trip to the Vatican. There was a lot of focus on pictures of the Pope looking miserable with Trump. Although the reason for the Pope's glum expression there was perhaps explained by this footage.
Nothing nastier than the pinky, just the,
Is that fake news? That's fake news.
That's fake news, yeah. That hand is way too big to be Trump's. But even Snopes, the debunking website, felt compelled to look into that and prove that
Trump
it was fake.
actually patted the Pope on the arse. That's what they didn't get.
Let's see Diane Abbott call the bingo, wouldn't you? 6 and 1, 11 to 10.
12 to 12, yes.
Diane Abbott hasn't said anything about numbers this week, but she was asked to account for her support for the IRA in the 80s.
Yes.
What did she say?
She said she used to have a different haircut.
Yep.
What else did she need to say?
Yep. This is, she told Andrew Marr, I had a rather splendid afro at the time. I don't have the same hairstyle. I don't have the same views.
I feel she should have just said, I had a different haircut.
I think she was saying she's a different person. I mean, I don't want to speak for Diane Abbott, but she's a different person then than she is now. For example, 20 years ago, I looked like this.
Whoa. That's quite hot, actually.
Wow.
No, you've got a jacket.
Yeah.
God, you're a band or something.
I thought that was the perfect headshot for a budding actor. Now I use it as my profile pic on Grindr.
That's my screensaver.
There's a lot of hair in between the eyebrows there.
We thought we'd look at some of your old hairstyles to see if your views had changed. Rod, have your views changed since you were a young William Hague? What's the guy behind you doing with his hands?
Okay. He was nice to me for 10 minutes.
Richard, here you are in the late 90s.
Is that you?
Sure, yeah.
Wow.
Have your views changed since you filmed The Matrix? By the way, can I say, I don't think you're entering into the spirit. Have you seen the state of the rest of us in our pictures? You sent that one in.
I didn't send this in. All of my stuff is in storage or on fire.
You've got a remarkable mouth in that. Beautiful mouth you've got there.
Get a room. OK.
What happened to that mouth?
I don't know. I didn't look at
You could go back to that in a minute.
What's so bad
What's
about
wrong with
this?
that?
Hang on. What's happened? Everyone else gets to look back at their old photos and people say they look terrible.
Yeah,
but I've gone the other way. I now look terrible. This is what's being said.
Finally, Steph and Dom, here you are on the happiest day of your life. That's your wedding day, in case... I just mentioned it in case it was a bit of a blur.
Like a pterodactyl.
Yes, Steph, do you still keep bees? So, at the end of all that, the original suggestion was that Labour don't know their own figures, which I think is fair enough, but then neither does anyone else, so I'm going to put it in the Shamifesto with that amendment. That's a point for Steph and Dom. What is going on here? Yes, Steph?
Right, Esmeralda, really cross mother. Esmeralda's child, Emily Mungbean, had a party and baby turned up in a cow suit and the mother was a vegan and got very upset and kicked the baby out.
It's the right answer, yes. A toddler was thrown out of a vegan's child's party for wearing a cow onesie, at least according to the Sun's website. We know where you get your news from. Which ran the story back in April. This is, in fact, a totally made-up story from a spoof website called Southend News Network. The Sun might have smelt a rat when they first read the article. For a start, the name of the kid in the cow costume is listed as Tanya Hyde. And the vegan birthday boy's mother is Esmeralda Sawyer Beanton. Who apparently stood by her decision, saying, "You wouldn't take your child to a Muslim birthday party dressed as a side of gammon." Anyone else dress their kid up inappropriately?
Yeah. It was recently London Appreciation Day or something, and I don't know a lot of famous Londoners, and I forgot to dress my daughter, so I just packed her a bacon sandwich and told her she was Ed Miliband.
The internet has seen an inappropriately dressed kid. Here is a toddler Hannibal Lecter.
No way. Oh, God.
And I'm not sure the fin in this knitted shark costume is in the right place. Well done. Steph, you got that right.
Hands up if you read 1984. Wow, that's pretty good. How many... Yeah. The fact is, research on several occasions show that at least a quarter of the people who claim to have read 1984 are lying. So I'm afraid we have to take points away from you. Yeah. Can you put your hand up if you said you'd read it, but actually secretly you haven't?
Oh, come on.
Come on.
You look very secret.
Yes. The honest man in the back has earned some of the audience. I have to confess here, I studied English at university. I haven't read it.
I should hope not. What kind of English degree would it include something written as late as 1940?
Well, that's true. Yes, we read things written in 1370. But I kind of felt I didn't need to, which is an appalling thing to say.
Oh, it's terribly good, Stephen.
Well, I kind of... I
know
know
all the TV shows named after it.
Two, at least. Room 101 and Big Brother.
Oh, that's Room 9.
Oh, sorry. I know how it opens. It opens with the clock striking 13. I know the character's
really
called
good,
Winston.
and they made a film of it with John Hurt.
Yeah.
It's hard to bother, isn't it, when there's a great film of a book? I was the same with A Muppet Christmas Carol. I feel it's been done. I know what the turkey does in the story. What do I read it?
It is a masterpiece of a film, it has to be said.
I lie a lot to impress people. And I'll be honest now, I have never read The Hungry Caterpillar. It gets so close to the end, and I get too emotional. I'm like, he's going to die. He's overfed himself. I can't do it, and I stop. So I just pretend that I've read it.
No, he becomes a butterfly.
Is he carries himself?
Spoiler!
So sorry, that was wrong of me. Oh. I knew someone who gave away the end of Psycho. It's nearly as serious as that.
Oh, my.
There are some books that you don't need to bother reading, like good books that you don't need to bother reading. Like, it's controversial to say it, but I don't think Harry Potter is worth reading. It is so expertly narrated on the audiobooks.
You're so right.
After I listen to the Harry Potter books, with you narrating them, everything in my life is narrated by Stephen Fry. All my thoughts, my internal monologue is now Stephen Fry's voice. Even the dirty thoughts are Stephen's voice. No, because it makes it acceptable. I had a sexual thought the other day, I put my hand in the air, I had a sexual thought about Camilla Parker Bowles. It didn't seem weird because Stephen was saying it to me. Showing their weight around in Toronto.
This is Rob Ford. Rob Ford, the mayor.
Ford.
Yeah. He's a bit out of control, isn't he? They can't do
Yes.
anything about it. They can't get rid of him. And he sort of basically said, yeah, I did crack cocaine, but I was completely pissed at the time. That's kind of been his defence.
Haven't they got rid of him by now, though? Hasn't he
No,
gone?
he's still staying. Back in Rob Ford, Mayor of Toronto.
They can't get rid of him.
I mean, people these days do resign at the drop of a hat. It's hard not to slightly admire the guy when he's this bang to rights. He's been caught on video smoking crack cocaine.
Yeah.
So you think
So don't worry, Rob
should
Ford.
stay
Richard
on?
Bacon is throwing his weight behind you, so
Yeah.
you're going to be all right.
Now, let me tell you the best fact of the week. This is the best fact of the week. When he admitted that he'd smoked crack cocaine, his approval ratings went up.
Boris, if you're watching.
But how low were they when they... It might be just the crack dealers going, yeah.
Have you got the footage of when he ran around the Parliament?
Oh,
and
I have.
This is like a bowling ball.
This is
it.
him running around the City Hall debating chamber and knocking over a pensioner. Buffet's open.
And now, in honour of Victoria, QI does only connect. Cue music. The greatest programme on television after QI.
Hello.
Yes. Does that ring any bells with you? So could you
yeah.
choose, please, an Egyptian hieroglyph?
Oh, my goodness, I've never had the chance to do this before.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
the Eye of Horus.
Eye of Horus it is. You have to find the connection between these 5 things. First, John F. Kennedy profiles in courage. Lots of points, of course, if you get it from 1. All right? Anybody else is allowed to buzz, of course, if they think they know. And the second one, Schumann theme and variations in E-flat. Whoa. What's that patronising,
You
Jack?
can all piss off.
What's it got to do with the Eye of Horus?
You know, that's you choose... Have you never watched... You've never watched Only Connect?
Not a whole one, no.
Not the whole... All you have to do is find what's in common, but Only Connect, literally.
Well, I think the F stands for his middle name.
I don't know about Schumann, but if I was on a team on Only Connect, I'd ask them, is it like the second thing they wrote?
Oh, that's very good.
Stephen, in my head, is Schumann a composer?
Thank you. Robert Schumann.
Robert Schumann.
So let's have the third one, because I don't think you're getting it from 2. John Prescott, Prezza.
Goodness me.
Schumann's nickname is theme and variation.
Was that one of the Sugar Babes lineups?
So I think we better have a look at the 4th one. Fewer points, but this might help. Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 Steps. The last one will give it to you. So the last one is only for 1 point.
You can see why I never got to the end of this show.
No, you see the last one, and I think... All right, struggle for the buzzer.
They were Ghostwriters!
Yes! Well done, John. You've made a happy man feel very old. What are deserts mostly made from? Yes, sir.
Sands.
Oh, thank you. You'd think, wouldn't you? Yeah. Not the case. No, only 1/3 of the world's land surface is desert, and only a small proportion of that is sand. North American deserts are around 2% sand. No more than that, there's Monument Valley. Globally, on average, only 20% of all deserts is sand, a 5th. The remainder is made of rock, shingle, salt, or even snow.
And camels.
And camels.
Camel
Lots
poo.
of cigarettes all over the desert. The driest desert in the world is...
The Gobi Desert.
No. Any thoughts?
Antarctica.
Well, there is an argument for saying the Antarctic is a dry desert.
It doesn't rain there.
But, yeah, it doesn't. But Atacama is considered the driest land desert. Some weather stations there have recorded no rain whatsoever, not one.
What a boring job.
Yeah. The largest desert on Earth is Antarctica. Even though much of it is under snow, the one area that is the driest, man who shouts a lot, are the Murdo Dry Valleys.
It's Red Indian now.
Yeah. And they consist mostly of... They consist... Man who shouts a lot. The McMurdo dry valleys are so dry that dead animals mummify rather than decay. So, it seems that if you want to identify a desert, the best way to do so involves looking for rain, not for sand.
Basically, Ryan Giggs has spent an awful lot of money to ensure that he's become world famous for stuff other than football.
Yeah.
But people still might be sued for telling people that it was him, so...
Yeah, well, that's right. The MP, John Hemming,
yeah.
He said that apparently 75,000 people named Ryan Giggs on Twitter. It's not possible to arrest them all. Well, I mean, it's worth a go, though, isn't it? I mean, well, the thing is, the injunction is still in place.
That's right.
That's the thing.
Absolutely.
Despite the people keep going blabbing it out, there's a legal expert, Joshua Rosenberg.
Yeah.
This is what he had to say about it, right?
Well, the law is clear. There is still a court order in force which says that we can't name Ryan Giggs as the person who brought these proceedings.
I'm pleased we can say his name, though, because I was getting so fed up. Every newspaper, every day, it was like, Imogen Thomas has been having sexual liaisons with a man who cannot be named. It's like, what, Voldemort?
Yeah.
I sort of see why he did it as well, Ryan Giggs. Because you get the super injunction, he knows that if his identity was known, then people would know not only who he was, but also that his marriage was on the rocks. And at that point, John Terry would be round his house like a sex-crazed wicked.
Yes, the worst-kept secret in Britain is finally out. Lawyers are a complete waste of money. As the row unfolded, thousands of Twitter users named Ryan Giggs in what the Daily Mail called one of the biggest acts of civil disobedience in modern times. Top that, Syria, lightweights.
The ancient Greeks used it for earache. Columbus took 80 tons of it to America, and Henry VIII made it compulsory. What am I talking about?
Oh, hang on a second. What's the theme of the show? It's joints?
Yes.
I'm going to guess marijuana.
Ooh, marijuana is the right answer. Hemp, cannabis, yes.
So he took 80 tons to America?
Yes.
You're saying that he's
Columbus
a trafficker? Saying Columbus is a drug trafficker?
He must have had a very big sphincter.
That joke was pretty enormous.
Pretty nervous when you got a custody, I would imagine.
Well, as you probably know, cannabis plant is also used for the creation of hemp and ropes. He had tons of it just on his ship alone of rope made from hemp. And also it was made under King James, it was made compulsory for the colonials to grow it and to use it. They mostly wore hemp clothing. And hemp was used as an oil, as a lubricant, and all kinds of things. As you can buy hemp oil now. But by the middle of the 19th century, cannabis was recommended by the US Pharmacopoeia for the following disorders: neuralgia, tetanus, typhus, cholera, rabies, dysentery, alcoholism, anthrax, leprosy, incontinence, snakebite, gout, tonsillitis, and insanity.
So that seemed to be a list of pretty much everything, though. I would imagine if you went into the chemist, it sounds like they only had one thing. What have you got? One, I'll have a think.
Well, there's a Greek word for that, panacea, a cure-all, literally. And so they did more or less think it was a panacea, as they did so many drugs, as they did heroin when that came out, and cocaine.
Well, in defence of both of those, it will take the edge off.
But there are still people who believe it. People are very keen for the legalisation of medicinal marijuana.
It seems weird that we haven't got medicinal marijuana, but we've got medicinal heroin.
Yes, isn't
That's
it?
kind of an odd quirk, isn't it?
I suppose so, except that, of course, there is no real painkiller available except the one that we get from the poppy, which includes morphine and heroin. We just can't make a drug that does the same thing.
Mummy's hugs.
Mummy's hugs and kisses. Oh, sweetheart.
Mummy's hugs.
That's so
and
lovely.
Then if they don't work, heroin.
Yeah. I think you've got it spot on the money, Jack. Absolutely. What kind of logical reasoning did Sherlock Holmes use? L for logic there. Oh, lavatorial. That's not correct. Lavatorial reasoning. Take me through lavatorial reasoning.
You do, because when you go to the loo, it unclogs your body and your mind.
Oh, I see.
So, like, really it does. Yeah, when I'm at home, if I'm stressed by something, like a dishwasher, I can't load the dishwasher properly, and it's not working, and there's loads of bowls, and I can't get them in. I'm like, Jack, take a step back, go and drop the kids off at the pool, and come back to it. you sit on the loo, you think, right, what's the task going to be like? How am I going to attack this? Let's work out a game plan, a strategy. You deploy the troops, come back, and I'm slamming those plates in like Tetris.
You leave your children alone at a swimming pool.
That was a horrible metaphor.
I thought you were a bit young. I thought you were a bit young to have children you could just drop off at the pool. That means
Why would I take them?
That means have a poo. I didn't know that meant have a poo. Drop off the pool. Yeah. I like that. That's quite a good one.
The logic is good as well.
But we have no evidence that that's used. But we do know from the books the kind of logic he used. There are different sorts of logic.
Well, now, if you eliminate the impossible, you're left with the possible.
Yes, if everything...
Deduction.
No, not deduction.
Oh, you idiot.
Deduction is essentially reasoning something which is unchallengeable. It must be true. You're given a set of premises and the deduction is true. So if you say all humans are mortal, Alan Davis is human, we can say that. Therefore, Alan Davis is mortal. That's just simply an absolute fact. It must be true. If those two premises are true, then the synthesis must be true as well. But abductive reasoning would be saying something like, I saw Alan Davis in an Arsenal scarf. He always cries when Arsenal lose. I saw Alan crying. Therefore, Arsenal just lost. Now, that isn't certainly true, but it's the kind of logic that Sherlock Holmes used. Not absolutely certain and definite to be true, but he was nearly always right. He reasoned abductively. So that's the sort he used. I'm going to show you how your senses can deceive. Right. So, Alan and Jack, you should each have a rubber hand and a little grey wooden partition. Alan will explain and Jack will explain.
Really? I'm not quite au fait with prosthetics, but I'll give it a crack. Oh, my hand too. I see.
That's it. You can stand up, Jack, if you like.
Oh, yeah, I forgot what I'm doing. Okay, this goes here.
Under this one, I just put it...
Yep, like that.
OK, what you've got here is a perfectly obvious real hand, your right hands, and a perfectly obvious fake hand. And you've each got a brush. So all I want you to do is brush each hand sort of simultaneously. What you should feel, Adam and Sarah...
Excruciating pain.
is that...
As I jab hard into the hand, it's they're raw! Sarah, scream!
We'll come to that. At the moment, just a gentle rubbing. Eventually...
This hand will fall off.
Eventually, you will feel in the rubber hand the same sensation you feel in your real hand, which seems extraordinary.
Yeah.
But you will. And let me know when you do.
OK.
It may not have happened yet.
And then you will
You have to keep going. I'm sorry. You have to keep going.
I'm doing I'm keeping going. I'm keeping going.
Have you started to feel
I'm now starting to feel that this is my hand.
That's it. That's what happens.
Having trouble distinguishing.
Are you not, Sarah?
No.
You're not feeling anything?
No.
Keep going, Alan.
Oh, that's nice.
You like?
Yeah.
So you can feel that in the rubber hand?
Lower. Yeah, definitely. Lower.
You play your cards right, might get a happy ending with this.
You're not feeling anything, Sarah?
It feels very much like my hand, like a separate...
Oh, now it does feel like your hand.
No, not that hand. My hand feels
well,
like
that would do, yes.
My hand has never felt more like it belongs to me.
I'm going faster.
I think that will help.
OK, I got it! Faster is better. Keep on saying.
Right. It really does feel like it. It's bizarre, isn't it? It's genuinely bizarre. And now you can get out the other brush.
What?
What?
That's amazing, isn't it?
It is amazing, because I didn't believe it was going to happen.
No, you didn't believe. That's what's so good, is you really didn't believe. It doesn't matter how much you know your hand is fake. It doesn't matter how much you know it's rubber. The effect works. You see it. You see that it's a clear fake, but extraordinary. The brain overrides what it knows with what it feels. That's to say, the cognitive side.
That's not that he's just next to a slightly mal-coordinated man-child with a rubber hand.
We can show you a replay of Adam's reaction here, because we've actually got it here. If you watch this here...
Oh, that shirt is awful.
That is genuine. And it's made all the more extraordinary by the fact, of course, you, as is well known, have a prosthetic foot.
I do indeed.
And so you are used to all the cliches there are about prosthesis and about phantom limbs and all the rest of it. And as you well know from wartime, the screams of pain people had once they'd been amputated in the limbs that no longer existed. They swore that their shins or
And
their
having
feet...
itches in a limb you can't
Itches. Can't imagine anything more agonising than having an itch in something you can't scratch.
It's now time for the odd one out round. Just one between you this week. Ming the mollusk, Glenn Greenwald's phone, Bert Quack, and the E. coli 0157.
Well, I think it's called Ming the mollusk because it's 500 years old and dates back to the Ming dynasty. And scientists found it, didn't know how old it was, killed it.
Killed it.
And then discovered it was the oldest animal that they think has ever lived.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you can get ill from eating those.
Yeah.
E. coli can make you ill.
Absolutely. Bert Quack, is it the actor or is it the part he's playing there in the Pink Panther films as Cato? It's the actor.
It's the part.
It's
He's
the
playing
part.
Cato.
Give us a clue.
Yeah.
Containing the answer. Oh, cold. Cold.
Oh, right, OK. Yes, Cato was hidden in a fridge.
Yes.
He was hiding in a fridge in one of the films, shot in the dark, I think, and he comes, bang. So it's about people being put in fridges. The mollusk should have been put in a fridge and it would have survived. Cato jumped out of a fridge, he was all right. The E. coli bacteria is all right if you freeze it, and it's the bloke with the phone.
His phone was
the
hidden in
fridge
a
thing
fridge.
was right. Everything else was wrong, but
Yeah,
I'm still
good.
going to give you a point because I feel like we should move on.
No, but the other one out was Glenn Greenwald's phone.
No, it wasn't. Stop taking over. You can do that on your radio show, which is on at 3:30.
You've got a radio show?
Yeah, Mondays, 2
I'm going to write that down.
The odd one out is Ming the mollusk.
Ming the mollusk.
All the others have survived a stint in the freezer, except for Ming the mollusk, who died. Glenn Greenwald, the former Guardian journalist who was involved in the publication of the intelligence emails leaked by Edward Snowden, regularly used to put his phone in the freezer. Why would he do that?
He was worried it would be bugged.
For security, yes. There's an even more effective place you can put your phone to stop anyone hacking it. Any ideas?
Is that News International HQ?
A martini shaker.
Oh, OK.
E. coli 0157, one of the nastiest strains of E. coli, can survive in the fridge or the freezer. How old were you when you first got colonised by an E. coli bacterium, Janet?
Funnily enough, I had amoebic dysentery when I was 7. And I was actually in hospital.
How on earth did you get that? I thought that was...
I got it in Fulham. I grew up quite near you, Paul.
Yes.
I think it's something you sent from Fulham Palace Road to my
Oh, I
road.
used to send out those parcels all the time.
Ming the mollusk was an ocean quahog, a type of clam. How easy is it to date a clam?
Well, you have to get them drunk first.
There's an app called Chowder.
Yeah.
You need to watch out for chlamydia, though. It's quite... No, I've never dated a clam before.
No.
Pulled a few muscles. But if nothing else, this story brought out a certain solidarity amongst headline writers. What do you think The Independent, The Mirror and The Mail all went with for their headline?
Clam dead after 500 years. No, that wouldn't be very good, would it? Shuts.
Clam shut. Clam shell, clam shut, clam...
Tears, cry.
Yes. Clam claps mime artist. No.
Are you taking the piss? You know what it is now.
No. You do. This is what stupid people look like.
I've never seen anyone worse at charades than you.
No. That is a very good clam mime.
We got the clam
Oh,
bit.
sorry. The sad bit, the sorrow. What would happen? Oh, damn, it's such a...
A shame.
Crocodile.
What a shame! Calamity! A calamity, Ian!
No, that's terrible.
No, Ian, what is it terrible? It's a calamity! I'm not mad, am I? You all got that.
What were the tears for? How would that lead us to calamity as a
That
pun?
was useless.
Right, you're going. You can be the panellist now. Come on.
So, to the epilogue that we call general ignorance, time for fingers on buzzers, please. What comes before a fall? Pride. It's a book of Proverbs in the King James Bible. It says, pride goeth before destruction, and haughty spirit before a fall. And there you are.
Well,
I know.
That's nitpicking, isn't it?
It is. Welcome to QI, Mr. Davis. We pick nits like no one else. But things that are misquoted are rather fun. There's a 2009 survey that found that the most common misquote is mispronouncing the phrase damp squib as damp squid. Oh, yeah, it was a bit of a damp squid.
What kind of idiot would say that?
What?
I've definitely said that.
It would mean something completely different, because you want a squid to be damp.
Well, yeah, it would be horrible to have a
Damp
dry
squid
squid.
would be the very best sort of squid.
Oh, a deep-fried squid is lush, though, isn't it?
Calamari.
You can say that as a compliment, then. What a damp
Squid. Yeah, exactly. Other things include on tender hooks instead of tenter hooks. Nipping something in the butt, which is quite a mute point instead of a moot point.
Well, it's a catch-24, isn't it?
Yeah. They're called eggcorns, as in from a mangling of acorns. There's, in lame man's terms, is used apparently, cut to the cheese. It is, isn't it? The feeble position instead of the fetal position.
I've definitely had the feeble position.
Soaping wet, which is a sort of mix between sopping wet and soaking wet, I think.
That sounds filthy.
Giving up the goat.
I think that's a Welsh one. I think.
I'm so glad you put your hand up to that one. I wasn't really going to mention it. Getting your nipples in a twist.
Oh, Kath and Kim, they have a lot of these. They're always saying things wrong.
Yeah.
When she's hungry, she goes, I'm absolutely ravishing him.
Chickens coming home to roast, I rather like. They fuck themselves as they come and just land gently on your plate. Here's a lovely list of Victorian slang. What do these L words mean? We've got lollygagging or lollygagging, last shake of the bag, land of Scots, land of cakes, lemon squash party.
I know lollygagging.
Yeah.
That's when you squeeze too hard at the bottom of your calippo.
Oh. Followed by brain freeze.
What if you do that and you squeeze too hard, then it comes right out of the tube, but you can't deal with it all? What do you do? Do you bite it off?
You lollygag.
A leg maniac's one of those people whose leg twitches when they're sitting in a chair.
It would be a good name for them. I used to do that terribly as a teenager, just the endless bouncing.
I've been doing it all show.
It's very hard to stop once you start,
It's so hard, and now I'm thinking about it.
Oh,
I'm not thinking about it. Stephen Fry's thinking about it.
You should roll with it, because Michael Flatley made a living out of that.
I know one of them.
Yes, say it.
Land of Cakes is Robert Burns, isn't it?
Yes, you're absolutely right. Scotland.
Talking about Scotland.
Scotland, good. But Land of Scots, you'd think would be Scotland, it isn't. It's actually heaven. Go figure. Learning shover, you might guess.
Teacher.
Yes, quite right. You know a bit about that.
Yes, can I have a point?
Yes, you certainly can. Lollygagging, it means to flirt, Jack.
Oh, yes.
Flirting.
I did a bit of flirting, didn't I, last time I was on?
You did. You
But I
lollygagged.
decided, because it was very awkward when the show went out, and I had a very long conversation with my father. And I watched
Have you
that,
got something
and
to tell me,
looked-
Jack?
No, I looked very... I looked back at him, and to be honest, I looked desperate for your affection. So this evening, I've decided to deploy a little bit of carrot and a little bit of stick.
Very good,
Because last time I showed you too much of my carrot.
A very charming carrot it was, too. Lemon squash party looks like something you could put into the internet and find...
Tennis players.
Yes. It's part of a movement that was very popular in the 19th century, a rather dull movement to many of us, perhaps. It's very straightforward. Temperance. It is an all-male party where only lemon squash was served.
I mean, we've all had a lemon squash party. It's the party that comes after the after party. Last shake of the bag.
That's my favourite.
Is that... Is it like something to do with you, like your
Yes.
Is it like your last child?
Yes, your youngest child.
Because it's the last
last shake of the bag. It's a terrific phrase. Meet Benjamin, he's my last shake of the bag. Yes, you had teacher. Leg maniac is the only one we haven't covered, and it's just really an eccentric dancer, rather frenzied dancer.
I was right with Flatley, then.
Yes, you were, basically. They're rather pleasing. I was particularly sorry